I think there was a bird in my Cherokee. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Dan H and welcome back to the project. Today the weather is finally cooperating with one of my days off. So I'm out here with Project Beach Jeep and Evelyn.
Hi!
And we're going to continue taking this thing apart. I'm going to start by taking off the clutch fan, then I'm going to take off the power steering pump, then we're going to take off the AC compressor. Let's get started. Alright guys, so whenever you're taking off accessories from your engine, and one of them is going to include the clutch fan, then it's a good idea to start with the clutch fan because you're going to want the tension on the belt to take off the 13mm bolts that attaches this pulley. If you were just going to take off the clutch to swap out the clutch, then you could use these 4 13mm bolts that attach the clutch to the fan. But I'm going to leave the clutch and the fan together as one assembly, and I'm just going to take off the entire pulley with these 4. So I'm going to use the tension from the pulley and use this 13mm ratcheting socket, and we're going to take that off. Once you break the tension, you can hand loosen it. Alright, next time you see this thing go back on, it's going to have a ZJ clutch. Alright, I was able to break this fitting off of the pump, but it's still seized onto this pipe. So I'm going to try to roast it with a torch without melting this to try to break this free, because I need to spin it till it gets loose. I'm going to try to use the fan itself as a heat shield. Some PB blast. Alright, I can't get this fitting to budge, so it's going to have to come off as one piece from down here at the lower fitting. $18mm it is. Oh man. This thing's twisting like a pretzel. And we'll drip into the pan. What disaster. Ugh. Gonna need new fittings. Just keep that there for now. Let that drip into the pan. Oh, since it's broken, we'll just go ahead and snap this one off too. Alright, that is how not to remove a power steering line. Slide that down. And try not to break the plastic. Those are old and brittle. Alright, since that top line was fighting me so much, I'm just going to cut my losses. And I'm going to sacrifice an inch of this hose and not break the power steering pump. So I got my pan still catching all that. I'll just cut off this chunk later. Alright, so now all the plumbing lines are disconnected from the power steering pump. And the power steering pump assembly sits on the belt tensioner assembly. So I'm going to loosen this 15mm bolt that's on the belt tensioner, and it's going to loosen the tension on the pulley, and we'll be able to loosen this bolt to get the tension off the belt. Then we'll take the belt off, and then we'll loosen up these 3 bolts through here, and then we'll be able to take off the power steering pump. Belt tensioner pulley is 15mm. Okay, just gonna back that off a bit, and then we'll loosen up the tensioner. It's also 15mm. Wow, corrosion. Broke that right off. Garbage. Corrosion and rust suck. The belt is gone. Alright, so I just hit this with a torch for a little bit to break up the rust bonds, and now I'm going to use a 15mm, and hopefully they'll back right off. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to access the 3 remaining bolts that hold on the power steering assembly to the intake manifold. They are 13mm. Alright, there's a power steering pump assembly and belt tensioner assembly. Yay, she's out. So I turned the power steering pump upside down to get rid of all the fluid, and out came this valve and this spring. I didn't know this was in there, but I'm sure it's important. I'm just going to put the spring back, the valve back so I don't lose it, and then I'm going to put the fitting back on. So I got my cap on, I got my valve back in, and guess what? I'm gonna set it aside. Okay, onto the AC compressor. Just gonna label and remove this wire first. Take off this red clip. Pull the connector. There we go. And onto this 10mm bolt. So keep in mind that this system has been depressurized since I took out the AC condenser. And now the AC lines are off. Just going to replace the bolt in here so I don't lose it. Pretty sure this compressor is bad, so I'm going to hopefully find and use the one from that parts car. Now onto these top 4 13mm. That is free, and last connector. Alright, so now I'm going to try to take off the bolts that hold the AC compressor assembly and the clutch fan assembly, and those are 14mm. There's one way down deep in here. I can barely see it, so I'm not even going to move the camera. And lastly, this one in here. There is a nut behind it, so I'm gonna have to get in there too. Alright, to get this last bolt, I'm gonna use a 15mm wrench resting up against this pulley, and I have a 3/8 drive with a 2-inch extension and a 15mm deep dish socket I'm gonna get from the inside. Wish me luck. Yes, got it. go. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hey, sometimes things don't always go the way they're planned. You got a rusty old truck with some rusty bolts, and sometimes you're going to break things. But that's why you have eBay, that's why you have parts cars. So stay tuned for the next video. We're going to take some more stuff apart. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next project.